sweet friends and fellow beings, brothers and sisters. This video is going to be about when you step away from another person and just the different challenges and emotions you can go through, and just how I feel life is teaching me. So as I see it, I've said it many times before, we're all in this process of getting to know ourselves and really standing on our own root system and really awakening to our own being. So what's happening and what has to happen for those of us who are to live in this new world is that we have to be completely rooted in ourselves, so that the center of who we are, the heart of who we are, is the foundation for all that we are and all that we do. And relationships between human beings, I mean, they take on many forms. And in the old world, as we are used to, dependency on each other, it was a very major part of relationships. And according to Eckhart Tolle, who wrote The Power of Now, all relationships before we awaken are more or less unhealthy or sick. He didn't use the word sick, but they're not good for us, because we're holding on to each other so that the relationship is actually not helping us to find ourselves. It's actually blurring our vision and holding us away from meeting who we really are and getting really rooted in ourselves. So we're sort of clinging to each other in all sorts of different ways. And there's many examples of this dependency. And we don't do it because we want to hurt anyone, or because you can say we're stupid. We're not aware. Usually we're not completely unaware that we're dependent on other people. We do it because that's what we have learnt from since we were children, and also because of the whole emotional state of human beings. We always chose what was safe. And a married couple where the man beats the woman every day, which is very common. The woman won't leave because, although it's very horrible, it's safe. Because you know what you have, but you don't know what you're going to get. And of course it's all rooted in these belief systems that it's okay to hit me and all these things. And then you see that, there's so many different types. And the husband who hits, he's also dependent on the woman, because he has to use her to get out his rage, because he can't handle it himself and sort it out himself. So he needs her. So they're both dependent on each other. And in town, when you're just going through town, I see this often. You see quite an overweight mother who's living a very unhealthy life with a son next to her, maybe a daughter, who's just as overweight, and they look alike, and they're just sort of wandering through the streets, and you can just see these two people are stuck together. And that there's just so many different types of this dependency. And for those of us who realize, okay, right, something's not right here, because I'm actually unhappy with this connection with this. It could be an old friend, it could be a neighbor, it could be a husband, it could be anyone, where you just start to sense there's something not right here. And when you awaken, when your heart shouts loud enough, you'll know when to step away from this person, that you just have to do it. And And of course, this is hard for the other person because the other person is used to you being connected to them, and it made them safe. They weren't necessarily very happy, probably not happy at all in the relationship, really deeply happy, but it was safe and it's what they knew. And now suddenly you leave them, and maybe you can't even explain why, but you just can't, you just have to stop the connection. And when you're the one who does it, it's difficult. It's very difficult. And so I've often been the one who stepped away because I felt that I'd rather they hate me and people around me hate me than stay in this that I can feel is actually keeping me stuck and keeping me very, very unhappy. So I'm sort of locked into something. It's like being in a cage, really. So I'd rather have my freedom and be honest, and then have people or hate me or whatever. And for sure, it's not easy. And in our society, it seems on the outside, we feel sorry for the victim. We feel sorry for the one it happens to. Oh, it's so sad, and why did she do that, and how could she do that, how could he do that to her, or whatever. So the one who's doing the act of ending a relationship is often the one that you don't like so much. You like the victim more. But as I've found in my life, and I think it's been really, really difficult because it's to really feel that this is the right thing to do. Maybe some people feel it much more clear than I do. I don't. I can keep doubting myself. Have I done the right thing? And for sure, all the old emotions that we are still carrying on to, they have a great time every time you feel a little bit unsure or you feel a little bit guilty. And that's the thing. That's one of the big emotions, is guilt. So I'm talking really very much to myself here. And if you can use this in your situation, it's great, because you do feel guilty. Because often, see, the person who you leave, so in my situation it's my husband right now, but it's also been other people in my life. They sort of have three possibilities. They can go out and find someone else who can replace you, so they continue that dependency relationship. Or they can just more or less fall apart, and you often see that with maybe a man who's been left, become an alcoholic, or just become very sad and just really close down. Or you can awaken. You can say, okay, right, here's a chance for me to see, right, what's going on in my life? What do I want to do with my life? What's going to happen? And as I see on my own journey, as I've really seen, and all people who walk this spiritual path, is that every time you do something that is deeply true for you, it's true for the whole. So the people who you're doing it to might seem as though they don't like it, but really it is actually the best thing you could ever do for them, for those people, because now they have the chance to move on. And the most important thing is they have the chance to get to know themselves. So there's a dependency relationship that's stopped because you've stepped away. And if they dare, they can say, okay, right, I've got the chance now to actually, do some, change my ways and grow and, create a new life for myself without this person. So as I see it, when I really look at this with my heart, when I look with my ego, I can feel really bad and really doubt myself so much. I mean, it just comes up all the time. It's just amazing how you can keep feeling bad about, why did you do that? How could you do that? See, so for instance, just taking this very personal thing with my husband, all the feelings I can have is, how can you do that to a man who's been so kind and so friendly? and who you've had 4 children with, you've built up a whole life together. He's done so much for you, and you've done a lot for him, maybe, yeah. And you can see this is really hard for him. So how can you do something so mean? That's what the ego is saying, but the heart is saying it's fine, all is well. And the person who's not, I mean, some people are just more, more quick to say, okay, right, let's fix this. Let's figure out, okay, what do we do, and do it. And some people are very comfortable in the victim role. Their whole life has dictated them all. They've been used to the victim role, and it's actually very safe for them to be in that victim role. And so they don't have very much of this drive saying, okay, right, what am I going to do now? How am I going to sort this out so I really get to feel good and life becomes good again for me? So you can see these people who you have left having a really bad time. And then you feel even more guilty. So it's just really, really, really hard. But God is really, really saying to me, after all these years of being the one who's just been very firm, I just feel He's saying so clearly to me, you're doing the best. It's the best thing. Because it cleans out this old, stagnant air. These old, stagnant, stuck ways of being that generation after generation have been living in these dependency relationships, and it's just so, it's like this thick glue that sticks everybody together. And when you step out of it and say, I'm not doing it anymore, it's over. It has to stop. It's not freedom, it's not love, it's not healthy. It's very unhealthy. And it's not joyful. When you do that, of course, there'll be reactions that are negative, because it's not what people are used to. They don't want it. And the main thing is that when you do it, to really, really clean your heart and really see that these people are beautiful people, and to all this I've been talking about, clean away your old emotions. And one of them is the guilt. So it's a chance to see, okay, how much guilt am I actually harboring within me? So it's a real big one, this one in our society. Oh, she left him, he left her. God, what an idiot. Why did they do that? Well, you don't know, because you don't really know what was going on in there. But you can see when a man and a woman are deeply happy together, when it's really healthy, you can see it. And so when things end, there's a reason. Yeah, so what God wishes for us is that, and what has to happen is that we all awaken to who we are. And anything that's not healthy in our life, it's best to stop it and step away from it. And I think in my situation, I've said this before, but because I'm a fixer, and so like if we were at a meeting, a school meeting with our children, for instance, this is just an example. Also in my own schooling, if there was somebody, the teacher said, okay, who wants to do this and this? It might be some voluntary thing. Who wants to do this and this? Or who has an idea for this and this? And nobody says anything. I just feel it's so embarrassing that nobody has anything to say. And I feel, well, I have to say something then. Even though I might not want to, I will say something, because I feel it's my responsibility to get things moving. But now I'm in a situation, because of this marriage thing, where I'm doing my thing, my husband is doing his thing, and when I don't see great changes happening, I feel all the time, oh, you should do something, say something. How can you just do nothing? And it's so against the grain of my way of being. But I can feel it's an old behavioral pattern that has to break down. And so I have to learn the art of just seeing something that's more or less there's nothing much happening. Nobody's saying anything. Sitting in the classroom, somebody's, it's been asked who will do this and this, and nobody's saying anything. And to just not say anything like everyone else, and just see what happens. Just be quiet. So every time we step out of an unhealthy relationship, of course we're given enormous, this is the way to really, really grow. The relationships that aren't healthy, and we get to see, okay, what are the actual behavioral patterns I have had, and now I can start to let them go. Because I'm not a role, I don't have a particular role I always have to play in interaction with other people. So this was a bit more about my personality or my way of being, but this was just to encourage you that I think it's very hard too, the whole guilt thing, when you step away from someone who might feel very, very sad for a very long time, and they just don't understand what's going on. To really tell yourself you're actually giving this person the best gift you could, because you're stepping out of something that was unhealthy for you and for them. They just couldn't see it. So whenever you feel in your life that something has to end, although you can see that it's causing lots of sadness, I'll just encourage you to follow your heart, because you're actually doing the best, and it is deeply loving what you're doing. It's really, really, really beautiful, because you're taking the courage, and that's what they say in these spiritual, many of these channelings that I'm reading at the moment on the internet. They say the world needs courage. Human beings need to find the courage within them to say no more, and just do it. And you need more courage when you've taken the choice, taken the decision and done it. You need the courage to keep telling yourself, what a good job. It's okay, you're not a bad person. You've done something really, really, really good, because you're following your heart. And have faith that these people who seem stuck or very, very sad, they will be fine. All is well. All is well. So it's another little thing. It's a lot of things about emotional stuff at the moment, and it just seems to just want to come out. So take care, my friend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.